This video is going to be about the number 93, specifically how it can pertain to thelema and Aleister Crowley. Full disclosure, I really don't know too much about Aleister Crowley, and I know even less about thelema. That being said, I may have just pronounced his name wrong. That's debatable. You may have heard the Ozzy Osbourne song, Mr. Crowley. Many people pronounce it Aleister Crowley. But I will say that there is an argument out there that it's pronounced Crowley, like as in the bird, the crow. Aleister Crowley. That's besides the point. This video is about the number 93, and I'm going to show you some gematria examples that can get us a 93 in some very interesting and unique ways. Now you're going to have to pay attention to how the letters appear. This is very important. And some people might think that some of these are a stretch, but if you know the slightest bit about Aleister Crowley, you know, he talks about reversals. And I'm going to show some gematria examples where the letters are flipped backwards, or the letters are flipped upside down, or there's mirror images of some of these words. But first, why 93? So if you just do a search for 93 thelema, you may come to the Wikipedia entry. It says the number 93 is of great significance in thelema, founded by English author and occultist Aleister Crowley. The central philosophy of thelema is in two phrases from Liber Al. Do what thou wilt shall be the whole of the law, and love is the law, love under will. Well, first of all, you see it says Liber Al. That's in reference to the Latin title of his book, the Book of the Law, Liber Al. I'm not going to read out the whole thing in Latin. There's some Roman numerals there you might notice. I noticed that there's the number 418 there. 418 is on there, even though, you know, you think about thelema and 93, you might think of Aleister Crowley, the number of the beast, and the great 666 and all this. The digits that I see on this book are 418. But I'm going to make a few videos, at least a couple videos about this, with the flipping the letters and stuff and thelema. This one's going to be mostly about the number 93. So again, the central philosophy of thelema is in two phrases from Liber Al. Do what thou wilt shall be the whole of the law, and love is the law, love under will. Let's start with that last phrase there. So if you look in the left side of the screen, so the bottom corner, there's two Greek words. And there's a symbol separating those two words. I'm not going to talk about the symbol, just the Greek words. The top word is thelema, and it has a Greek isopsephy value of 93. And this is not anything new. A lot of people know about this. And the bottom word is agape. It's a Greek word for love. That has a Greek isopsephy value of 93. The top one, thelema, translates to will or true will, something like that. It's will and love. And, you know, the motto there, do what thou wilt shall be the whole of the law. Love is the law, love under will. You see, when you see these words, often you'll see the word love, agape, is under the word will or thelema. Love under will. Both of those words have Greek isopsephy values of 93. But remember how it starts. Do what thou wilt shall be the whole of the law. And then love is the law. Love under will. Well, if we use the forward-facing text, so I'm going to mess around with the text here for good reason. So if we use a reverse ordinal cipher of gematria, and you just type out the words the law, nothing fancy, just type out the law. Love is the law. Type out the law. That equals 93. So again, that motto says love is the law. Well, as you can see, we can get a 93 from the word love. This is where it gets tricky. You got to flip the text. Now, I go to a website called flipyourtext.com. There's many websites that will do this, but the point of this is that when you flip it backwards, not all of the letters are recognizable. They don't all get values. So for instance, the letter L flipped backwards, like in a mirror, L flipped backwards has no value in Gematrinator. The O, however, if you held a mirror up to the O, it still looks like an O. That has a value of 78 using the reverse trigonal cipher. The letter V has a value of 15. See, if you flip the V backwards, it still looks like a V. So O and V have values. The letter E flipped backwards has no value. And I show you the cipher down at the bottom, the cipher chart just above. This is how it breaks down. L backwards has no value. O equals 78, V equals 15, E backwards nothing. Add them together, you get 93. Love, the mirror image there of love flipped backwards equals 93. And that phrase was love is the law equals 93, reverse ordinal. And part of that phrase was love under will. So the Greek word, a Greek word for will is thelema. And we can get a 93 from that word, not just the Greek word thelema, but if you type out the English letters, flip it upside down, we can get a 93 with the reverse satanic cipher. I'll show you how this works here. Again, you got to flip the letters upside down. You can go to the website flipyourtext.com. You can see the cipher chart down below, and just above it the breakdown. Only two of those letters have value, you see, because, well, starting with the T upside down doesn't look like a letter, therefore it has no value on Gematrinator. H upside down, however, still looks like an H, so it has the value of an H. In the reverse satanic cipher, H equals 54. Upside down E is not a recognizable letter, has no value. Upside down L has no value. Upside down E has no value, but the upside down M looks like a W, therefore the value is 39. And the upside down A has no value. So only two letters here in the upside down word thelema have value. The H and the M, or the H and the W, I should say. Those two letters equal 93 with the reverse satanic cipher. So again, thelema, the Greek word, has a Greek isopsephy of 93, and then if you type out those English letters and flip them upside down, we can get a 93 with a reverse satanic cipher. So we can get a 93 from the name Aleister Crowley, but we gotta flip the letters backwards, okay? And you can see I'm using the English ordinal cipher here. A has a value of 1. See, if we flip the A backwards, it still looks like an A, so it still has a value of 1. But the letter L backwards doesn't have a value. The letter E backwards does not have a value. The letter I, however, flip it backwards, it still looks like an I, so it has a value of 9. The letter S flipped backwards doesn't have a value. The letter T flipped backwards has value because it still looks like a T. It equals 20. E backwards, again, no value. R backwards, no value. C backwards, no value. R backwards, no value. O backwards looks like an O, so that has a value of 15. W backwards looks like a W, so it equals 23. L backwards, no value. E backwards, no value. Y backwards looks like a Y, so it equals 25. Add those together. Aleister Crowley, with the letters flipped backwards, gets us a value of 93. Call some of these other examples a stretch, but the Aleister Crowley example is kind of perfect. You know, this guy's, like I said, I don't know too much about him, but I do know he talked about reading backwards, writing backwards, listening to phonographic records backwards. So how perfect is that? How appropriate that Aleister Crowley, with the letters flipped back like a mirror image, gets us that 93. He's all about the 93. There's more numbers that he's into, but we'll get into that in a couple of other videos. It's been said that Aleister Crowley likened himself to the great beast from Revelation. So think about the number of the beast, the mark of the beast. So if we use the keypad cipher of Gematria, we can get a 93 from the number of the beast. Just type it out like normal. Nothing fancy. Just type those words, the number of the beast, that equals 93 with the keypad cipher. And you can see the cipher chart below. That represents the alphanumeric buttons on your telephone. So if you flip open your phone to dial, you're going to see an alphanumeric system on all your phones. That represents this cipher. And we can also get a 93 from the mark of the beast if we use the full reduction cipher. You can see the chart down below. This is the reverse full reduction. Just type out the words like normal, forward-facing letters. The mark of the beast gets us that 93. This next one might be a bit tricky, okay? Even to explain it. So you get that motto, do what thou wilt, shall be the whole of the law. If you put a mirror above or below that phrase, you're going to see what I'm talking about. We're going to use the keypad cipher. Again, that represents the alphanumeric buttons on your telephone. So you have to pay special attention to this one because this is tricky. Okay, but it has to do with the mirror images. And it's all about the reversals for this guy, the law of reversals and all this. So I don't have time to break this all down, but you saw what I did before. Now, at the very top of the screen, you can see it written out like normal. Forward-facing text. Do what thou wilt shall be the whole of the law. Just below it, you can imagine that you put a mirror below that phrase. So the D with the mirror underneath still looks like a D, so it has a value. The O with the mirror underneath still has a value. The W with the mirror underneath reflects the letter M. See how this works? H reflects an H. A reflects an upside down A, and that has no value. T reflects an upside down T, that has no value. And so on. I'm not going to go through the whole thing, but that phrase with the mirror image, with this particular mirror image, equals 93. Do what thou wilt shall be the whole of the law. Gets us that 93. And remember, with the forward-facing letters, the law gets us that 93. Love is the law. We get love. With the backwards letters, love gets us that 93. Remember, love is the law. Love under will. Those words, will and love, in Greek get us that Greek isopsephy value of 93. Aleister Crowley flipped backwards, we get that 93. Thelema, upside down, can get us the 93. And the Greek word has a isopsephy value of 93. So I'm not going to go too much longer. I just wanted to focus on the 93. There are a couple other numbers that I want to talk about. The flipped letters, the mirror images. It's all, for now, I'm just going to look at the Thelema stuff and the Aleister Crowley. You might have seen a little earlier in the video when I showed the Latin cover, the cover of the Book of the Law, the Liber Al. Actually, the name Al, A-L, capital A, capital L. And if you look at the book, right, what's the biggest letters on that? Liber Al, A-L. And that's the biggest, boldest word in that book. Al. And if you do A-L, both capital letters, I believe it's the reverse Francis Bacon cipher. But isn't it funny that Al, A-L, also has that 93. I found a lot more 93s, but I wanted to keep this very simple because it's complicated, I believe, for some people, because I don't hear anybody talking about doing gematria of backwards letters and flipped letters. It's probably a thing. I mean, it may even be in the Book of the Law. I don't know. I've never read that book. But anyway, I can put some 93s down in the comments section if you guys have some relevant comments to make, please. I know some people are going to think this stuff's a stretch, but I mean, Aleister Crowley was about the reversals, so it only makes sense. So again, I used the website gematrinator.com to get the gematria values, and I went to flipyourtext.com to flip the text. But that was the biggest find, that Aleister Crowley flipped backwards gets a stat 93.